welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well, enjoying your fishing. Today we're going to tie a nymph, and it's a great little nymph for those mountainous streams, really for brown trout, but rainbows will come to it as well. It's a simple nymph, and you could argue it's a bit of a crossover between a perdigon and a natural nymph. So let's get into the tying. I have a size 16 light nymph hook in the vise with a 2.8 copper bead, and I'm using 10-0 black thread. So I'm just going to mount the bead, and you will see from the tying what I mean when I say it's a crossover, or it appears to be a crossover. But with the addition of the natural hair, it cannot be called a perdigon, and certainly there is no UV varnish involved, although I suppose that could be an option if that's what you wanted to do. We'll go through that in a moment. Right. For the tail, I'm going to use Coq de Lion, medium pardo. I'll just pull off a few fibres. Don't want too many. And I'll tear those off and tie them in. Just pull those to length. Don't want them too long. And bind down the rest of the fibres to the rear of the hook and trim up the excess. Right, now the body, although is going to be black thread, it will have a peacock quill, a brown, well, it's a standard peacock herl, and then when it's stripped it becomes a peacock quill. So I'm just going to strip it. I'm going to use my fingernail, my thumbnail. You can use other methods. An eraser, a pencil eraser is another good method, but it won't take long. And there is the strip quill. I'm just going to trim up the ends. And I'm going to tie it in with the base of the quill and bind it down and build up the body as we tie it down. I'm just going to build it up a little bit more towards the thorax. And that will do. Right, now before I tie on the quill, I'm going to put some glue on the thread on the top of the fly to hold it in place. Now when you wrap this, wrap it in open wraps so that a little bit of the black thread shows through. Like so, and we'll tie off the quill and trim it up. And it's just slipped in the vise a little bit, so I'm going to put it back at a better angle. There. Now it is at this stage that if you wanted to varnish it, you could varnish it. But with the glue, you shouldn't have to. It should sustain the trout quite well. Okay, but that choice is yours. Now for the collar, I'm just going to use some hare's ear or hare's ear mix or hare's fur and rabbit, whatever you want to use, but it's just a light collar. That we'll tie on. Like so. And then before I tie it off, I'm going to put some glue onto the thread. And tie off the fly. And trim up the tying thread. Right, now I am going to brush this out. When you brush it out, you'll also lose some of the hair. So when you are winding it on, make sure that you have sufficient there to create the finish that you want, but having lost some from the brushing out. Now some of that is quite long, so I'm just going to trim that up. Bit of hairdressing never did anybody any harm. Just see a few more there. And there you have the finished nymph. It is such an easy tying, and as I say, it's very, very good for the brownies in those mountain streams, and you should tie a few of these up. Simple summer nymph. I hope you enjoyed the tying. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay safe and enjoy your fishing. Bye.